Thank you very much. Thank my colleague, John Larson. It is really not a coincidence that those of us who are standing here today are from the Northeast, and we know how cold it is in New England and in the Northeast. But I wanted to say a thank you to all of you for coming, for folks who are here today, and for my colleagues. You don't do anything on your own and succeed in this institution. You stand tall with others, and it is an honor for me to be here with Ed Markey and John Larson and Peter Welch, and there are others as well who are champions of this cause. I can recall one of the first issues I was ever involved in was the LIHEAP issue, along with a former colleague of ours and who was from Wisconsin, and that's David Obey. So it's not one part of the country, but the people all over who understand what it means to help people in their hour of need and in difficult and challenging times. To the advocacy groups who are here, we thank you. Everyone who is engaged in the Community Action Partnership, our deep thanks. Your work is vital. What you do in providing energy for all of us and a support system for all of us as we make the fight in this body. We have 8.3% unemployment, 1 in 6 people in poverty in the United States, millions of people all over this nation who are struggling. Now is not the time. It is not the time to afflict these families with higher home heating prices. We are seeing a 10% higher heating oil prices than last winter, 7% higher propane prices. These are the costs that the individuals that my colleagues have mentioned can't afford, and they are not just statistics. They're human beings, and their families and their obligations are real. They hit us particularly hard in the Northeast. We suffer some of the coldest winters in America as a matter of course. We're more reliant on heating oil than any other part of the country. Of the 8.1 million households in America that use heating oil, 6.3 million, or almost 4 out of 5, are in New England. As such, the average northeastern household that uses fuel oil is forced to spend nearly $2,000 in heating costs in the wintertime. And what we have seen in terms of the LIHEAP program over recent years are massive cuts. The final 2012 budget cut LIHEAP by 25%, $4.7 billion to $3.5 billion. The proposed 2013 budget out this week cuts the program by an additional $470 million. Even before the cuts, we could only afford to help out 1 of every 4 eligible households. Now we'll see millions more who will have to make that extraordinarily tough choice that my colleagues pointed to. And no one should be put in that position. But the damage that will be done by this $470 million cut really the story cannot even be told. That's why I am a co-sponsor. We need to pass Ed Markey's energy assistance bill for American families. I want to tell you because you have people who are here. You have people all over. They're going to various offices. Do not take no for an answer. Fight back. Understand. Ed Markey talked about the billions in subsidies to the oil and gas industry. Start there. Let's pull those back. Talk about the subsidies to big agriculture that we pay in this nation to plant nothing. We're not talking about small farms. We are talking about big agribusinesses. Start with talking about the subsidies that we provide to multinational corporations that take their jobs overseas. We can give you a list of others that you can point to when they tell you we don't have the money to do this. We have the money. Our priorities are misplaced. That's what the issue is here. Let's grab those priority backs. I won't even talk to you about the $147 million we pay to Brazilian cotton farmers. The story is unbelievable. Or the people who can go out and buy a horse for $8.5 million. Horse breeders, and they can take it as a write-off. Let's correct some of those things before we take it out of the hide. of people who are struggling, who are making that choice between buying food, paying their rent, or being able to afford their heating costs. We cannot afford to make these cutbacks and not put this on the backs of the American people. We have a responsibility to ensure that vulnerable families can get by until they can get back on their feet. I urge my colleagues, all of us here today, let's join Ed Markey in the Energy Assistance Act. Let's stand up for LIHEAP in this Congress and in the weeks ahead when we debate this budget. We have to make it possible for Americans to get through this winter and be able to save themselves and their family. And